It's a warm welcome here in our studio in Sarakunda. This is Star TV News and I am Manager Fadera. In the headlines tonight, Gambia suspends flights from 13 countries in response to the coronavirus. The Gambia Ministry of Commerce warns against price hikes on basic commodities on the coronavirus outbreak. DUNDUNG 6 Johnson Ward Councillor donates items to help fight against COVID-19. DUNDUNG Ward Councillor donates sanitary materials to Star FM TV. On the international scene, coronavirus pandemic leaves refugees vulnerable. Fighting continues in Libya as fears of coronavirus spread. Anger over unsanitary coronavirus quarantine centers in Pakistan. Well, those were the headlines, and now the news in details. The fourth cabinet session of 2020, chaired by His Excellency President Adam Barrow, has been updated on the COVID-19 situation in the country. An immediate decision was taken that flights from 13 countries be suspended with immediate effect until further notice. Jacqueline qualifies in this report.
The decision follows the recommendation of the Health Experts Committee concerning the recent development on COVID-19. Countries affected by the immediate flight suspension are the following.
Flights are suspended from the United Kingdom, from Spain, from France, from Poland, from Germany, from Sweden, from Denmark, from Switzerland, from Netherlands, from Norway, Austria, Belgium, and Portugal.
Also, Cabinet has improved that individuals, Gambians and non-Gambians, traveling from 47 countries in Asia, Europe and America to the Gambia will undergo mandatory quarantine for 14 days. This decision will be reviewed regularly and the public will be informed accordingly. The 47 countries are as follows: Asian and Pacific region, China, the Republic of Korea, Japan, Malaysia, Australia, Singapore, the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand and India. In the European region, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, Netherlands, Norway, Austria, Belgium, Sweden, Denmark, Czechia, Greece, Portugal, Israel, Finland, Slovenia, Ireland, Estonia, Iceland, Romania, Poland and San Marino. In the Eastern Mediterranean region, the Islamic Republic of Iran, Qatar, Bahrain, Pakistan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq and Lebanon. In the American countries, we have the United States of America, Canada, Brazil and Chile.
As we speak, there has been a communique that has suspended flights from hot zones considered by the expert committee yesterday. There are a number of countries on this list. Those countries on the list are those that have flights to the Gambia. There are other hot zones. They are not on that list because they don't have flights to the Gambia. So we listed those countries that have flights to the Gambia. So there is suspension, immediate suspension of flights from all those countries. Now there is a second group. They are also hot spots. Now any individual, Gambian or non-Gambian, who departs from those other countries and gets to the Gambia will be quarantined. The idea is that because we do not have flights, because flights have been suspended from the hot zone countries, some could leave those hot zone countries, hot spots. They go via countries that have flights to the Gambia, and those whose flights have not been suspended, and they come to the airport, to the Gambia from zones that are not considered to be hotspots.
According to the health minister, a flight that recently came from UK carrying 32 passengers on board have its passengers quarantined at a specific hotel, but some became aggressive, broke the gate of the facility and ran into the community, creating more risks to the entire nation.
We also informed Cabinet with regards to the flight that came yesterday from the UK, and of course we all know His Excellency the President had issued a statement in which he had mentioned that flights coming from hotspots, the passengers will be quarantined. So that information was sent to the partners. When this flight came from the UK, the information had already gotten to the various people, and the individuals were quarantined at a hotel. There were 32 of them initially. And unfortunately, of course, quarantining people is difficult. It's not easy for anybody to be put in a place that is not his home, and then to stay away from family, especially when they expected to have united with their families. But this is a public health emergency. It is the interest of their own families, themselves, their families, and of the nation that they stay quarantined. It is a national emergency. Of course, the comfort of the people sometimes has to be compromised for the good of the people, and people should understand that. And the fact that it had been made clear by His Excellency that such was going to be our action in the Gambia, so they would have anticipated that. To our great disappointment, some of them apparently became aggressive. We learned that they broke the gate of the holding facility and ran into the communities, which is very, very detrimental. And there is a public health provision that makes quarantining mandatory if the need arises. So what we are trying to say in summary, they have broken the law. So we are going to get together to see what should be done in relation to that. The experts are sitting down and then a decision will be made immediately. We've been busy in cabinet, but our other teams have been working, following up, and then probably a decision is made by now. I'll be informed accordingly as to what will happen to those people who broke the law and went into the communities, risking the lives of, or risking creating more risk for the entire nation, because we do not know what their situation is. And we appeal to them, people who should be quarantined, to obey the rules, to do as is required of them. And we also ask the population, their families, to support the government to do the right thing for the people of this country.
The people who were in the same flight with the lady who is infected is being followed up, revealed Dr. Samate. While this is welcomed by some Gambians, others are still demanding from the government a total shutdown of the airport that may lead to passage of infected people. Jacqueline Coley, reporting for Star TV News.
The consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic are numerous. In the aftermath of the announcement of the first coronavirus case in the Gambia, consumers noted a surge in the price of basic necessities on the markets. In a country with an extroverted economy, many fear a shortage of foodstuffs in the coming days, causing some traders to speculate on price. The Secretary General of the said ministry does not exclude coercive measures against crook traders. In this interview, Amadou Barry sat with the peers of the Ministry of Trade to discuss on the impact of the virus.
I think this is something that people have been asking, and since yesterday we have been working on this, at least to have something that we could share with the public. But based on our analysis of the stock, there is no need for panic. We have sufficient stock, that can take care of the population. And also we are expecting most stock coming next week and beyond. Then what we saw, based on our analysis, there is no need for panic. For example, if you look at rice, for example, we have enough stock, and we are expecting almost about 20,000 metric tons that we are expecting, next week. And currently we have enough stock that can take us almost 2 months. Then we don't have a problem as far as stock is concerned. We know there is a panic in the market because of the information that is being circulated, that the stock will not be able to have enough stock. But this is not the case.
Suleiman Jame, Councillor for Bundung 6 Johnson Ward, and his delegation donated hand sanitizers, water drums for hand washing, among other things, to the Bundung police station, Bundung Magistrate Court, and the Guinea Garage located opposite the Magistrate Court to help fight against the novel coronavirus. Omar Job was there, and he now files in this report.
The donation of these materials is part of the council's effort in fighting the epidemic coronavirus since the health minister announced a confirmed case in the Gambia. Speaking at the handing over in Bundung police station, the councillor Suleiman Jame said he is honored to deliver hand-washing tanks to the station as the police station is part of the ward and they played a vital role in the society.
I have the singular honor to hand over or to present this water hand-washing tank to the Bundung police station as they are part of our community and our ward development committee. Our community is our priority, and we are lucky that we have this big station here, and we've been working with you closely, not only in this area but in so many other areas. So on that note, we are one community and we are one. So on behalf of my ward development committee, I hand over this tank. You tell me who to hand it over to, so that at least we can, at least try to prevent ourselves from this coronavirus, because it's deadly, and we all have to take responsibility, especially you, the police.
Meanwhile, MS Jallo, the magistrate at the Bundung Court, and Edu Gomez, former chief of defense, applauded the councillor and his delegate for donating materials like pans, hand-washing tanks and hand sanitizers, and assured them that his administration will put them into good use. The delegate further went to the Guinea Garage to hand over similar material to the garage, as the place is a meeting point for many travelers within the West African region, which includes Casamas, Bissau, Conakry, among others. Measures and demonstrations were held after the handing over of the materials to sensitize the people of Bundung 6 Johnson Ward on how to prevent themselves and adhere to the advice given by the health authorities against the pandemic coronavirus. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Omar Job.
As the coronavirus continues to gain momentum on the global front, the demand for sanitary materials intensify. Suleiman Jame, Councillor for Bundung 6 Johnson Ward, consequently extended gesture to Star FM TV by providing sanitary materials to mitigate the risk of contamination at the Star TV complex and its staffs. The donation of these materials is part of the Councilor's efforts in battling pandemic coronavirus, as Gambia confirmed its first case on the 17th of this month. Modubaji reports.
The donation of these materials is part of the Councilor's efforts in battling the coronavirus, as Gambia confirmed its first case on the 7th of this month. The Wall of News director of Star FM Star TV, Paul Stephen Prela, described this gesture as timely. He applauded the Councillor and his delegation for their magnificent gesture, adding that the World Health Organization is advising people from all sectors to install such materials at their organization in order to diminish the rate of infections at their offices.
People here, there are so many councillors, but we saw them giving out this type of kind gestures to people. You looking up to Star FM and you bring this, it means a lot to us. It might be small in the eyes, but it saves a lot of people's life, because WHO are giving instructions for people to do this. So you coming up with this, we deeply appreciate it. On behalf of my colleagues who are not here, present or not present, we deeply appreciate this, and it will take us a long way to make sure that we save ourselves and save others that are not yet to be contaminated. And we also ask God's mercy, those that are affected, countries that are affected, that God shower His blessings on them, let them gain back speedy recovery, and God help us at least to send His blessings down to remedy this deadly virus that are currently going out of the world. So, well, we thank you very much.
Mr. Stephen assured the Councilor's delegation that this medium will make sure that the donated items will be put into good use. The Councillor for Bundung Ward, Suleiman Jame, said the donation is bestowed to Star FM Star TV due to their outstanding efforts in disseminating accurate information to viewers and listeners in the Gambia and beyond. He also indicated that this is part of their efforts in fighting the COVID-19. Jame also recognizes the effort of the proprietor of Star FM Star TV, Banugo Susoho, for being the first Gambian to support his community development programs. The Chief Executive Officer of Star FM Star TV, Alpha Karaga, prayed for the relationship between this medium and the Councillor of Bundung to continue. He also expressed gratitude on behalf of the entire staff and management of Star TV. Karaga also indicated that this medium belongs to the Gambian people, as its main objective is to provide reliable and relevant information to the Gambian public. Reporting for Star TV, I am Modu Elbaji.
And now the news beyond our borders. As consent grown about the spread of coronavirus, aid agencies are sounding the alarm about the vulnerability of refugees. Al Jazeera's Mahmoud Jamjum reports on the efforts by aid workers and refugees to combat COVID-19.
A population so traumatized by violence, now terrified of a virus. In northern Syria, after 10 years of war and humanitarian catastrophe, medics are doing all they can to prevent an outbreak of COVID-19. Masks are being handed out, parents are trying to protect their children, but everyone seems to know it's not nearly enough.
We have very little equipment and supplies, not just right here, but in all of northern Syria.
In Bangladesh, where around 750,000 Rohingya from Myanmar are in camps, youth activists are teaching refugee children about the importance of proper hygiene. Anxiety in the largest refugee settlement in the world is on the rise. Warnings from aid agencies are stark.
Imagine then what it would cause in densely crowded refugee camps, community centers filled with civilians in a war zone, displaced people fleeing to informal settlements in places where there is little or no water, no washing facilities, little hygiene, and no healthcare.
In Greece, Doctors Without Borders has urged the government to evacuate refugees from overcrowded camps they say provide the perfect storm for a COVID-19 outbreak.
We have one water point for 1,300 people in Moria. We have one toilet for 200 people. And if we ask people today to call the doctor if they have a problem, there is no doctor to call. And if we ask these people today to isolate themselves, there is no space for isolation.
This week, the United Nations Refugee Agency announced that due to severe travel disruptions around the world, travel arrangements for resettling refugees are being temporarily suspended.
We are appealing to states and working very closely with them to ensure that movements can still continue for the most critical of emergency cases, wherever that's possible.
As panic over the pandemic spreads around the world, refugees and the internally displaced are, as always, just trying to survive. People long accustomed to uncertainty, for whom life has suddenly become an even greater challenge. Mohammed Jamjoum, Al Jazeera.
There are no reports of the coronavirus reaching Libya yet, but fear of an outbreak has sparked panic buying in food shops. The government has closed restaurants and cafes at night, banned large crowds, and sealed its borders, all while fighting continues in the country's civil war. At least 15 fighters and civilians have been killed in the latest battles near the capital. Al Jazeera's Mahmoud Abdul Wahid reports from Tripoli.
Renewed fighting in the suburbs of southern Tripoli. Explosions shocked the Ain Zara and Salah ad-Din neighborhoods. Forces loyal to the internationally recognized government here in the capital say they repelled the latest offensive by fighters loyal to Khalifa Haftar.
Haftar's forces took advantage of the public panic in Tripoli due to coronavirus threat and launched a surprise attack, but they haven't achieved any progress on the ground.
Haftar's 11-month battle to capture Tripoli is once again taking its toll. The latest escalation, yet another blow to the fragile ceasefire brokered by Turkey and Russia in January.
The countries that brokered the ceasefire are now in an embarrassing situation because Haftar refused to sign the ceasefire, neither in Moscow nor in Berlin. The decision is not in his hands, but in the hands of Egypt, the UAE, France and Saudi Arabia.
As well as hearing the sounds of heavy explosions, Libyans in Tripoli are worried about a possible outbreak of COVID-19. Food prices are again rising, and the value of the Libyan dinar is falling. The government is advising everyone to stay at home. Borders are closed. So are restaurants and cafes after 4 p.m. People are rushing to markets fearing some commodities might run out.
We've got used to the war, but what we fear the most is possible infection of coronavirus. Prices have doubled because some people have also started shopping for the holy month of fasting.
Some shoppers are grateful that they can still find what they need. But if the war comes closer to the city center, they might not be able to shop at all. Mahmoud Abdul Wahid, Al Jazeera, Tripoli.
Social distancing has become a catchphrase around the world during the coronavirus pandemic, but the message has not been getting through to everyone, prompting some doctors and nurses to turn to social media. Al Jazeera's Rahila Mohammed reports.
Distancing from other people is becoming a new way of life for billions worldwide. But not everyone is heeding the advice to help contain the coronavirus, which is adding pressure on hospital staff. These Spanish doctors are worried about too many patients turning up for tests.
When I bring a patient here, I have to go to a special room and change my clothes carefully, then sanitize the ambulance. This whole process takes 3 hours.
3 horas inoperativo.
See, guys, it takes 3 hours for one patient to be moved around. So please stay at home. If you don't, the health system will collapse.
It's prompted a concerned group of healthcare workers to send a message on social media. Stay home. Doctors and nurses in many countries, from Germany to Malaysia, India to Spain and the United States, have come together to send their message, urging everyone to stay indoors even if they don't display symptoms of the virus. That means avoiding restaurants, religious gatherings and large crowds. In other parts of Spain, doctors are optimistic.
On my way to the hospital, roads and shops were empty. Now the emergency room is empty, which means we can attend to patients who need urgent help. This is because of all of us and you. Thank you for making it possible.
#I stay home for my husband.
The stay-at-home movement has triggered a widespread response from celebrities and many others, all sharing their reasons for social distancing.
Because the contact that you make with someone who makes contact with someone else, that may be what makes somebody's mom or grandpa or wife sick. Every one of us has someone who is worth staying home for.
My mom is elderly, she's up in her 70s, and I just want to make sure she's safe.
While nations close borders to foreigners, some Canadians and Americans lit up their homes with Christmas lights to bring cheer and hope to their neighbours in isolation. In northeast Italy, glowing colours of the Italian flag were displayed in tribute to everyone forced to stay confined. But as calls continue to grow louder for everyone to take the virus more seriously, the threat of hospitals becoming overwhelmed remains. Rahila Mohammed, Al Jazeera.
Pakistan has closed one of its main border crossing with India and all exits to and from Afghanistan to contain the coronavirus outbreak. But there is anger over unhygienic conditions in quarantine centers and a shortage of doctors in government facilities. Hospitals do not have enough resources and there is fear Pakistan's fragile health system is ill-equipped to deal with the coronavirus outbreak. Al Jazeera's Priyanka Gupta reports.
There is little social distancing in this quarantine center in southwest Pakistan. Hundreds of people are crammed in. Some are in small tents in an open courtyard. WhatsApp videos reveal filthy facilities and conditions so bad that people are protesting against the government keeping them there.
We don't need anything, neither food nor medicine, just let us go. We have money with us and we can pay our travel expenses.
The quarantine center is in Balochistan province near the Iranian border, where nearly 70% of the population live in poverty and many don't have access to basic healthcare. Government leaders say they are doing their best despite the limitations.
We are here to provide all the facilities. Obviously, there are resource constraints. This is a border town with few difficulties in facilities but we are trying our level best.
There are more than 300 cases of the new coronavirus in Pakistan. Schools and universities have been closed and mass gatherings are banned. Religious shrines are shut. Local businesses are suffering, but supermarkets and groceries are busy, with the rush to stock up on food and other essentials if things get worse.
Main markets in Karachi and Hyderabad have already been closed due to coronavirus. We've heard that its quarantine period is 2 to 3 weeks, so we're buying extra rations. If there's a major outbreak in Islamabad, at least we could have some rations at home.
Pakistan's Prime Minister says his country cannot afford lockdowns like Western nations.
When our cases reached 20, we thought of shutting down our cities. That was a suggestion. But I want to tell you all that the situation in Pakistan is not the same as in Europe or the US. We then thought that if we shut down the cities where people are already facing difficult circumstances, we will save them from the virus, but then they will die from hunger.
As cases in densely populated South Asian countries such as Pakistan and India continue to rise, so do concerns about whether hospitals and health centres can cope with the outbreak if it gets worse. Priyanka Gupta, Al Jazeera.
And before we end the news, a recap of our main headlines. Gambia suspends flights from 13 countries in response to the coronavirus. The Gambia Ministry of Commerce warns against price hikes on basic commodities on the coronavirus outbreak. Bundung 6 Johnson Ward Councillor donates items to help fight against COVID-19. Bundung Ward Councillor donates sanitary materials to Star FM TV. Coronavirus pandemic leaves refugees vulnerable. Fighting continues in Libya as fears of coronavirus spread. Anger over unsanitary coronavirus quarantine centers in Pakistan. Well, that's all for this edition of the news. Please enjoy the rest of our programs and join us tomorrow for more news. Thanks for your time.